Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about respiration in organisms from chapter 10. Let us discuss something under the topic why do we respire or why do we breathe. When you were in class 6, you have learned that the body of living beings or organisms are made up of small microscopic units called cells. And these cells are the smallest structural and functional unit of an organism. That means cells are the smallest structure that has function in the body of an organism. Now let's look at the picture. Look at the picture on the left hand side. You see a human body. This human body has many organs, and each of these organs are made up of cells. So the living body is made up of millions of cells. These cells are tiny, but they carry out an important functions in our body like nutrition, reproduction, excretion, transportation, and many more. What is nutrition? Nutrition is referring to the intake of food, digesting it inside our body, and release the component to different parts of our body. And reproduction is referring to the production of young one or baby. Excretion is the removal of waste substances from our body in the form of sweat, urine, stool, etc. And transportation is referring to the transportations of different substances within the body. All these important functions in our body are carried out by a group of cells. To perform these functions, the cell needs energy. Even when we are sleeping, resting, eating or reading, we need energy, because even when we are sleeping, eating or reading, cell needs energy so that they can carry out their function. Now the question is, from where does this energy come from? How the cell will get energy? The cell will get energy from the food that we eat. The food that we eat has stored energy, and this energy will be released from the food during respiration. How energy is going to release from the food during respiration? Let us see. During breathing, we breathe in air, and air contains oxygen. And we breathe out air that is rich in carbon dioxide. The air we breathe in is transported to all parts of the body, and ultimately it will go to each cell. Look at the picture. This is how the oxygens that we breathe in is distributed to every cell in our body. When we breathe in oxygens, it will come down to the lungs, and from the lungs the oxygens will be distributed to every organs in our body, okay, through red blood cells. So this is how oxygen is reached to every cell in the body. Now, what is the importance of these oxygens for the cells? In the cell, the oxygens help in breaking down of food and release energy. If the oxygens help the breaking down of food in the cell with the release of energy, we call that process as cellular respiration. In the cell, the food, that is glucose, the glucose is present in the food, is broken down into carbon dioxide and water using oxygens, and that release energy. When glucose is broken down into carbon dioxide and water in the presence of oxygen or with the use of oxygens, That process is called aerobic respiration. This is the reaction. Glucose in the cell will be broken down to carbon dioxide and water, and during that process an energy is released, and this takes place in the presence of oxygen. The food can also be broken down without using oxygen. If the food is broken down or glucose is broken down without using oxygen, then that process is called anaerobic respiration. This anaerobic respiration is carried out by an organisms like yeast, since they can survive in the absence of air. In the absence of oxygens, glucose breaks down into alcohol and carbon dioxide. Look at the reaction. Glucose in the cell, in the absence of oxygen, is broken down into alcohol, carbon dioxide, and energy is released. The energy released from anaerobic respiration is lesser than the energy released from aerobic respiration. Since yeast carried out anaerobic respiration and break down the glucose into alcohol, yeast is used in wine and beer brewing process. Our muscle cells can also respire anaerobically when there is temporary deficiency of oxygens. When we run or do exercise or take a long walk, the oxygens in the muscle cells reduce, but we need energy. Therefore, in the absence of oxygens in the muscle cells carried out anaerobic respiration. So during this process, the glucose is broken down to lactic acid and energy is released. So this lactic acid accumulation in the muscle cells make the muscle cramp or pain. And what we can do to relieve the pain from the muscle, we can take a hot water bath or massage the muscle, and this will increase the supply of oxygen and results in the complete breakdown of this lactic acid into carbon dioxide and water. So this will relieve the pain from muscle. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.